So now we're getting into more of the word problems type of thing, where you got to translate from the words to what the equation would be. And that's always what I think of, because like once you get it into an equation, like we can solve equations. We have rules to solve equations. So if we can take like a situation that we don't really understand and write it as an equation, then we'll probably be able to solve it. So that's what we're going to do here. So for A, for uniform motion, the constant speed of an object equals the distance traveled divided by the time required. Okay? So we'll just try to translate that directly. We'll say the speed s equals the distance divided by time. Okay? And that makes sense because normally another thing we might say for speed is velocity. The velocity is the distance divided by the time. So that makes sense. And then, yeah, so let's see what they have. They have, if r is the speed and d is the distance and t is the time, then r is d over t. So see, they used r instead of speed or velocity, which is chill because it's a rate. So that makes sense. All right, and then we'll just read these last examples, just some quick examples. The number 5 times as large as x is 5 times x. The number 3 less than x. So that one's kind of hard to, you got to think about that one, because notice how like just the order switches, but a number 3 less than x. So if something is less than something, think like what is 2 less than 5? That means you got to take away a 2 from the 5, right? So just because of how English works, those flip around. So 3 less than x is x minus 3. And then the number that exceeds x by 4, exceeds by 4, bigger than by 4. So, yeah, x plus 4. A number that, when added to x, gives 5. Well, I would do that differently. I would say a number, x, or a number, I guess that's y. A number y, when you add it to x, it gives you 5. So what is the number that we're talking about? Subtract x from both sides. Y equals 5 minus x. And so like this is, I mean, I think this is a English problem, not a math problem. Like if you think these are hard, it's because English is hard, not because math is hard. It's like these things are, I think, much easier to understand when you write it like this rather than if you write it like this. Math is easier to understand than English, which is why we want to write it as equations, because that'll make it easier to understand for us.